sexy, sexy. I'ma touch you and you gon' touch on me, sexy, sexy. I'ma kiss you and you gon' kiss on me, sexy, sexy. I'ma lick you and you gon' lick on me. Oh, so sexy.
You are more powerful than any force that's trying to stop you.
Great things are happening on Sirius XM's Joel Osteen Radio.
Every day, they're blessing my life with these words of strength.
Inspiration 24/7.
God says He always causes you to triumph.
Just to hear you and your words of encouragement really helped me to get through those tough times.
I'm so grateful that you're on the radio.
I am so blessed by your messages.
To hear Joel Osteen Radio, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritized customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
NFL game is on Sirius XM. Football is back with week 1 of the preseason.
It's exciting just to be back and hear the roar of the crowd.
Don't miss a snap, including your team's pre- and post-game shows on the SXM app. And Sirius XM NFL Radio's training camp tour gets you ready for the season with previews of all 32 teams.
I feel strong about who we are. I like the things that we've done. I think if we gel and come together as a football team, we can be right back where we need to be.
Just search for your favorite team on the SXM app.
Imagine a long road trip where the designated DJ isn't forced to flip from station to station, avoiding commercials and trying desperately to find a signal, where you're not forced to resort to endless rounds of the license plate game to kill time. Stop imagining and start listening to commercial-free music from nearly every genre, coast to coast. Subscribe to SiriusXM, and your music stays with you wherever you hit the interstate or take the back roads. Call 844-711-8800 to activate your radio now.
This is where former Latchkey kids come to get their 90s grunge kicks. Unlocking a decade's worth of commercial-free alternative rock. Sirius XM Lithium. To listen to Lithium, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
Moments happen so much at SiriusXM, we want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artist you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
SiriusXM has over 100 extra channels on the SXM app, filled with ad-free music made for everything you do. Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
Performing their biggest songs from the legendary San Siro Stadium. Global sensation Måneskin, captured live in Milan. All week, exclusively on All Nation, Channel 36, or whenever you want on the SXM app. Just search Måneskin. With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritized customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
On SiriusXM. Football is back with week 1 of the preseason.
It's exciting just to be back and hear the roar of the crowd.
Don't miss a snap, including your team's pre- and post-game shows on the SXM app and SiriusXM NFL Radio's training camp tour gets you ready for the season with previews of all 32 teams.
I feel strong about who we are. I like the things that we've done. I think if we gel and come together as a football team, we can be right back where we need to be.
Just search for your favorite team on the SXM app.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici, let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me, and anyone with 27 podcast applications get that some praise. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my, won't you be my, won't you be my neighbor? Shut up! It's 2 o'clock in the morning. My wife said 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so I understand. No wonder they screamed at me. No wonder they screamed at me. I want to say on a beautiful day on August the 4th, 2023, they have kickoff in Dimdare Hills, California. And I'm telling you, the Pac-12 is being kicked out of the world of college football. There are only 4 teams left: Washington State, Oregon State, Cal, and Stanford. So something's got to change. I see some changes happening on the West Coast, but it's a shame. It's a shame that people in schools will leave a conference for more money, but I know that's part of big business. They're not moving the universities, people. Some people said, how are they going to move all that land to the Midwest? They got Arizona State, and looks like Arizona going to the Big 12 along with Colorado and Utah. And then the Big Ten's already got USC, UCLA to commit. Now today they just signed up on Washington and Oregon to join the Big Ten. And that's a shame. The Conference of Champions, as Bill Walton always says, the Conference of Champions, who wouldn't want to play for the Conference of Champions? And a couple of years ago, I was talking about on Big C Sports how they were letting the deal go south by not having a good media rights deal. How do you lose the number 4 market in the world? GDP, California is number 4 economy in the world. But USC left, UCLA left, and then when you go up north, Washington left and Oregon left. That's Phil Knight money. And they're going to go to the Big Ten. All because of Ohio State, Michigan, maybe Penn State. But if you take away those football programs, Ohio State plays for national championships, so does Michigan. Penn State, not necessarily so. They're a second-tier team. And then if you look at other programs, like Illinois, they're not playing for national championships. Northwestern, they're not playing for national championships. Purdue, they're not playing for national championships. Minnesota, they're not playing for national championships. Michigan State, they're not playing for national championships. Now, on the basketball side, you may get a Michigan State, or you may get someone like a Michigan or in Indiana back in the days of Bob Knight, but they're not making a lot of noise when it comes to winning national championships of late. Illinois has had some good programs, but they've been knocked out of the tournament. So whatever it is about the Pac-12 saying they're going to find greener land, greener pastures in the Midwest, what they're going to find is 25 degrees at kickoff in the wintertime. What they're going to find is a lot of snow in Dimdare Hills at kickoff when it's 40 degrees or 30 degrees, and they're playing games in Indiana, or they're playing Purdue, or they're playing Illinois in the snow. They're playing Michigan State in the snow. They're going to play Michigan in the big house in the cold. And how many fans from California are going to travel to Rutgers to watch the USC Trojans take on Rutgers, or UCLA take on Penn State? Doesn't make any sense. But that's the way life is. They're all going crazy. Have you lost your Vulcan mind? Yeah, that's some praise. Losing your Vulcan. I said Vulcan, like in Star Trek. Don't write me any bad letters. Spock, have you lost your fucking mind? I heard that in Star Trek. And it seems like the Pac-12 has lost their mind. All because of more money. And they could have had the best TV deal by keeping California, USC, UCLA. There's no reason they should have left. They're the number 2 media market in the country. So they got a better TV deal in the Midwest from East Lansing, Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Columbus, Ohio. Because when you take away those programs, maybe you could add in Penn State. But no one's moving to the Big Ten or watching the Big Ten football on television to watch Minnesota or Purdue play or Indiana play or Rutgers or Northwestern or Illinois. They're not watching them to play. They're not tuning in to watch that. Nebraska may be having talks of joining the Big 12 as well, going back where they came from. But you can't tell me that if Michigan's playing Purdue, you're going to watch that game. Or if Indiana's playing Minnesota, you're going to watch that game. That's not must-see TV. Rutgers having a game against Iowa, that's not must-see TV. So how they get a bigger TV package? The only 2 teams that really draw in that conference is Ohio State and Michigan. No one's changing their day to watch Penn State play Purdue on a Saturday. They're not watching that. So the Pac-12 left because of the media deal was more sweet, not because the attention and the attraction sweeter. I guarantee you there are more people that tune in across the country to watch Oregon play Washington and USC play UCLA than to watch USC play Rutgers or UCLA play Illinois or Washington play Iowa. Or Oregon's going to have a game with Indiana. That's going to make people leave what they're doing and watch TV for 3 hours. I don't see that. It's all about the TV rights. And how the Pac-12 did not pull off the best TV rights, I have no idea. But that's just the way love goes. You can follow Big C Sports on 27 podcast applications on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, the Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser. You can also follow Big C Sports Podcast on GeoSavan out of London, England, as well as India and Africa, Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Verbal Podcast, Podcast Policy, Good Pods, Podcast in Public, and the only one that Pac-12 should have adopted before everybody came and fleeced the programs is allfeeds.ai. They should have had Teddy Pendergast say, turn them off and light a candle, but they chose not to do it. Give the Big 12 and the Big 10 some praise. They came, they saw, they conquered Benny Beach all. They came and took. Now again, they did not move the universities to the Midwest and to the Southwest. They just moved their football and I guess football schedules, of course. I mean, the sports schedule doesn't make any sense. Who's going to watch a volleyball game with UCLA traveling to Rutgers to watch the Rutgers Scarlet Knights versus the UCLA Bruins? Doesn't make any sense. And I don't even know if it's going to be for all sports. I know football is going to join the 2024-25 season. Doesn't make any sense to me, but that's just the way love goes. The great Janet Jackson told us long ago back in the day. I want to say Big C Sports Podcast is not like the others. Why is that? Why is that, Mr. Fung? Because I produce the show, I direct the topics, I broadcast all the shows, I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. It's almost like it doesn't make any sense to have our teams on the West Coast leaving for smaller TV markets. The Seattle market's big. The Portland market's big. With University of Oregon, Los Angeles market is huge for USC and UCLA. Get down into Phoenix, you got Tempe, Arizona, with the Arizona State Sun Devils, and Tucson with Arizona. Colorado, that's the Denver territory, and Boulder. And then Utah, obviously the Salt Lake City region. But why are they leaving for smaller regions? The only big region media market in the Big 12, really, you got to look at since Oklahoma and Texas left. I mean, who's going to be the big media draw in the Big 12 now? TCU that got blown out in the national championship football game by Georgia. I think it was 65-7. That's in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. Outside of that, where's the big media draw? You're going to tell me that Norman, Oklahoma is going to have a big media draw with the University of Oklahoma? No. Stillwater, Oklahoma with Oklahoma State? No. Those are all small media markets. So what's the deal with the Pac-12 losing out to those small country town media markets? Doesn't make any sense to me. Unless somebody was drinking the Kool-Aid. You ever drink Kool-Aid before you negotiate with people? Doesn't make any sense. Why are you leaving the Los Angeles market and now you lose the San Francisco Bay Area market, the number 4 market in the country, with you not having Cal and Stanford? for the media rights, the TV revenues. Doesn't make any sense. Some things are crazy. I do the play-by-play. Runners on first and third. The counts for the pitch. Curveball. Struggle. Hit the left field. Back to the wall. Reparations now. Reparations forever. That's how I'm going to start announcing my home runs. Call it reparations. So people will finally get it. I'm telling you, crazy. The commercials are done. My commercials are done all pre-roll right before the show. I go nonstop 0 to 60. If that makes sense to you, I said 0 to 60. If that makes sense to you, I don't stop. Most programs will have an hour show. They'll have 3 or 4 commercial stops in the midway. I don't do that. I just go nonstop. I do it extemporaneously. If that makes sense to you, think it's easy. Try it sometimes. Try doing a concert, and you never stop. You never pause. You just keep yelling really loud. And that's what I do with Big C Sports Podcast. I'm telling you, the stats are provided. The storytelling, all of that, the play-by-play. I upload the show to 27 multiple podcast platforms out of New York City. And I'm in Dimdare Hills, California. Rumor has it they're going to move California to the East Coast as well. Hopefully they won't. I don't know why people did that in the back. It just doesn't make any sense. I'll talk about it more in the show. And then number 10, I never missed a show since creating Big C Sports with the crew. Back at Salem Media, really do appreciate that. Through joy, pain, sunshine, and rain, never missed a show. When it comes to joy, pain, let me give it some really the right touch on it. Joy and pain, they're like sunshine and rain. You're not the real Frankie Beverly. We want the real Frankie Beverly. I won't do Frankie Beverly. But if you don't do Frankie Beverly, you can at least call the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced. Helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Everybody, every now and then, we all need someone to lean on, and they do a good job helping people. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the Pac-12 conference that are calling the crisis hotline right now to see how they can hold on to whatever they let get away, if that makes sense to you. I'm telling you, they will stand on their head to get you help. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give them some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. I know I need somebody to lean on, and it's so good leaning on somebody when somebody's leaning back. Try it sometimes. They really help you. And a lot of people are stressed out in the Pac-12. It affects media. It affects everything. If you're working in media, I'll get into it more, but it's really, I got my start in the Pac-12 with Stanford versus a San Jose State game. I was also part of the 99 big game with Cal, Berkeley, and Stanford. Also the 100 big game with Stanford and Cal. I mean, a lot of things happened that I've started out in the Pac-12. It was the Pac-10 at the time, and those schools had the West Coast Pacific Ocean in common, where there's Washington, going to Washington State and Washington, that's the Pacific Ocean. Oregon State, Pacific Ocean. Cal, Stanford, USC, UCLA, Pacific Ocean. And then when you got on into Arizona, with Arizona State, obviously it changed. Later, Utah joined the conference, and then Colorado joined the conference. And now people are just going all over the place. It seems like there's no loyalty to the fans. Now you're going to make fans from Oregon travel all the way across the country to Rutgers to watch a game. You're gonna have fans from Tucson, Arizona, have to travel up to Indiana to watch that game. Or if you're going to Illinois and you're at Arizona State versus Illinois, when it's 30 degrees in Champaign, Illinois, in late November, it doesn't make sense to me. But that's just the way life goes. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Reparations Now, Reparations Forever. That was actually a different script. I want to thank Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. I really do appreciate that. I love so much about what's going on in the world of sports on this beautiful Friday in August. School's getting ready to start for a lot of people. College football kicking off right around the corner. Had a game last night with the Cleveland Browns versus the New York Football Jets, all fair and loving war. But I want to touch on something that's happened. It's important. Tonight, what did Two Live Crew say in their conference? It's gonna be all right, cause everybody know the Millions is $1.3 million tonight. Give us a raise. I'm gonna say it one more time. Sing it with me. Tonight's the night. sing it, y'all. It's gonna be all right. Because everybody knows Big C1 making niggas $1.3 billion tonight. Man, $1.3 billion. Now I can finally buy a full tank of gas. Give that some praise in them there hills. You almost need $1.3 billion to buy a house in California. Let alone some gas. Anthony Davis, he made sure he doesn't need to win Powerball. He got a $186 million max extension. The guy that doesn't even play all the games. He's not even the best player on the Lakers. They gave him $186 million. And I want to hear him chant, reparations now, reparations forever. $186 million. And they can't even count him. They call him street clothes. I think he's a great player, but he's never available for every game. But $186 million, maybe the Lakers hit the lotto, if that makes sense to him. But I'll touch on that a little bit later too. But what I want to touch about right now, I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy, and sometimes shows I got so much to talk about, but I only got an hour to talk about it, and I talk so much and I talk fast. I try to get it through, but sometimes I can't. But I want to pay homage to my beautiful family legacy. Starts on my mother's side. My great-grandmother called her Mama, beautiful, loving, kind woman, always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. And then my beautiful grandfather called him Pop, former military man and former Negro League baseball player, known around his church buddies as making the best moonshine in the history of the universe. Ever since, boys, get out of that barn now. The real MacGyver could fix anything, planes, trains, and automobiles. Really do appreciate him. And then my grandmother, Muddy, a beautiful, loving, kind woman, a seer, could oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. Then my wonderful grandfather, Hezekiah, another one of a person, could look at a person, oftentimes tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. Then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coached an all-boys and Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe in an all-man's league. They were trying sometimes to intimidate Mama. They would play James Brown. They say, this is a man's world. She say, hey, but it would be nothing without a woman or a girl. Hey! And she won the championship anyway. The best person I ever met in my life at a restaurant. Everybody wanted Mrs. Curry's cooking. At the church, everybody wanted Mrs. Curry's cooking. And at home, everybody wanted Mama's cooking. She often say, son, how many plates have you had? And I say, plates are a baby crap compared to what I'm doing. I'm trying to get more reparations. You know, sometimes I spoke before I thought sometimes, as you can tell. It didn't just start with the show. It's sometimes I had to go to my room until I realized not to be in acting mode every time it was time to eat dinner. But really do appreciate my mama. Best person I ever met in my life. Always saying rise and shine. Love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my grandfather, Albert Curry, a former pastor, had 2 churches in Oakland. He built the 3rd church in Central California, and with his own hands. He also owned 2 gas stations in Oakland, one on Bancroft, the other on Foothill. But what I'm most proud of, and it's amazing 6 degrees of separation, because I talk about it a lot today. He owned 40 acres of land, like the Emancipation Proclamation, where President Abraham Lincoln promised every black soldier, in fact, black Americans, that they could be free through the Emancipation Proclamation if the soldiers would help the Union win the Civil War, be defeating the KKK and the Southern Confederates. Unfortunately, when President Lincoln was assassinated, President Andrew Johnson came along and he vetoed the bill, and he gave the land back to the KKK and the Southern Confederates. That doesn't make any sense, and that's why we need reparations now, reparations forever, because they lost the war, but they got the land and the money. And with land, you know, you can make loans on land, you can build buildings on land, you can grow crops on land. When you have land, you can go to a bank and you can get a loan on the land that you own that was given to the people that lost the Civil War, but they got all the money. That was crooked. And it's never being repaid. But it's going to happen now. If I have my druthers about me, I'm going to be doing a series on every NFL owner this year. And I'm going to do a series on every NBA owner and every Major League Baseball owner, but specifically NFL is the number 1 sport in the country. And I'm asking every owner to stand behind reparations, because black Americans were robbed. We was robbed by the United States government, and it's time to make it right. It's no more time for shucking and jiving. I'm even asking the clergy to get involved in it. We got to figure out how do we repair what happened. We got to fix it and give that some praise. I know you want to talk about who won the game. I know you want to finish up checking and jiving, but this is important. It's so important. I'm going to keep talking about it until it happens. And I know more people will start following suit. I want to thank Jaylen Brown for the Boston Celtics for following suit. And what I told someone in conversation just the other day, I think it was brother Aleem, and I said, once Jaylen Brown got the biggest contract in the history of NBA basketball, and they said, what are you going to do with the money? He said, I want to bring the Black Wall Street to Boston. I said, well, that means somebody's going to get a raise, because they don't want Jaylen Brown's narrative to be the Black Wall Street. They're going to give somebody who's always hurt more money than that. And I'll talk about that too. Hey, they got their monies, and that's good. But now, as we praise them, imagine how much we can praise when all black Americans get their reparations now. Reparations forever. The same way we praise athletes. I'm proud of them. But what are they doing to benefit society other than making some baskets? Not benefiting society, but that's part of life. The owners wrote the check. Where'd they get their money? A lot of them got it from reparations. That's a fact. Well, speaking of a fact, it's a sad day on the West Coast. If you believe in sadness, it's not sad for the schools that left, because they left for more money. Washington and Oregon, they joined the Big Ten. The Conference of Champions decided to acquiesce to the Conference that not of Champions. And the program will depart the Pac-12 in 2024 after serving as charter members since 1915. And now they're leaving. They've joined the Big Ten. The universities and the conference announced Friday. The programs become the third and fourth Pac-12 members to leave the conference for the Big Ten in the last 13 months. Now, accepting membership into the Big Ten Conference, it gives opportunities, obviously, for the University of Oregon to change the short and long-term trajectory of the university athletic department. They got Nike money. But Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullen said the stability and exposure of joining the Big Ten is of great benefit to the University of Oregon. And we are grateful to the Big Ten president and chancellors for accepting our application to join the conference. We look forward to the opportunity for our student athletes to compete in this conference, which includes many of the best programs in the nation in every sport. In fact, the Big Ten is so good, the last time Oregon went into Columbus, they beat Ohio State 35, I think it was 42-35. And they wanted to join that conference. I'll say it one more time. It was 2 years ago. The last time Oregon went in to Columbus to play the Ohio State Buckeyes, it was Oregon 42, Ohio State 35. And they left for that conference. If you take out Ohio State and Michigan, I know it's about money. It's not about who won the game. It's a big money business. They have a tremendous respect and gratitude for the Pac-12, its treasured history, which is now history, and traditions. At the same time, the college athletics landscape, it has changed dramatically in recent years, said Washington Athletic Director Jennifer Cohen. In the Big Ten's history of athletic and academic success and long-term stability, it best positions our teams for future success. The Pac-12 is the Conference of Champions. Overall, they have more championships than all the other conferences in the country. More than the SEC, more than the Big Ten, more than the ACC, more than the Big 12. But now they're saying the Big Ten's history of athletic and academic success and long-term stability best positions our teams for future success, and we are energized at the opportunity to compete at the highest level against some of the best programs in the country. The last time Washington played Michigan State, Washington beat them up in Seattle at Husky Stadium. But when you look at Washington and Oregon, the programs both charter members of the Pac-12 dating back to 1915 when they were the Pac-8. The Pac-12 presidents earlier today, they said they plan to accept invitations from the Big Ten. The Big Ten made those formal offers later today, with both Oregon and Washington officially approving the measures. I think it's a sad day for Pac-12, but they're making more money, and that's just the way it goes. People are about the money, as opposed to having a care for how far their fans have to go for a game. Oregon and Washington are the third and fourth Pac-12 schools to join the Big Ten ahead of the 2024-25 season, with USC and UCLA previously announcing their planned departures last summer. At that point, the Big Ten will stand as an 18-team conference. 18! The largest college football has seen. 5 schools now have left the Pac-12 in the last 13 months, as Colorado last week moved to the Big 12. Used to be the Big 8 back in the day. Arizona is now a Board of Regents approval away from joining the Big 12. They'll get into the Big 12. Arizona State has formally applied for membership, and sources around the media, they understand what that means. They're heading out. So the momentum, it appeared to be headed in the direction of the Oregon and Washington departing for the Big Ten over the last couple of days. The last-ditch effort was made Friday. In fact, it's a shame, though, to keep the Pac-12 and its programs in the league. And that made their futures a coin toss for a while, largely due to financial concerns over additional travel. Cost of the programs would incur by journeying the Big Ten, going across the country to play a Big Ten college football game. Now, Washington in particular has concerns that those increased financial obligations could total more than $10 million per year for the university. It's a shame. They had a good thing going with the I-5 rivalries between the Washington and Washington State, Oregon State, Cal and Stanford, USC, UCLA, going down to the Arizona State. Of course, Utah joined later, as well as Colorado, but they're gone. It's a shame. Doesn't make any sense. But Oregon and Washington, they started their commitments to continuing their in-state rivalries with Pac-12 members, Oregon State and Washington State, respectively. Oregon and Washington, they will receive 50% shares of Big Ten media rights, and that's what it's all about, the media rights, and revenue to the tune of $30 million in 2024, with an annual $1 million escalators until the completion of the new deal with the CBS, Fox Sports, and NBC, according to other sources. ESPN is also a part of that deal, too. But I feel it's just a shame. This is since 1915. I think about the fan base. Players are going to go wherever they're told to go because they have no power. Big Ten programs, including USC and UCLA, they will receive $60 million or more annually. And Oregon officials said Friday that the Ducks and the Huskies would be in line for full shares once their next contract is signed well into the future. If Oregon and Washington do incur additional travel expenses, up to $10 million each, that would eat into a significant chunk of their payouts, putting their net revenue around $20 million annually. And that is essentially the same number presented earlier this week when Pac-12 Commissioner George Kalikoff, he talked about the streaming-centric Apple agreement to his league members. But they were just kind of late. They were late to the dance. But the platforms of the Big Ten, which holds those 3 separate linear television agreements, and the lacking stability of the Pac-12 likely made the moves a no-brainer for the universities. So what will happen to the Pac-12? And that's the million-dollar question. What will happen to the Pac-12? Well, Pac-12 presidents, they met this morning, and there was a grant, a rights contract, presented to the universities in hopes of securing a new media deal that would keep the conference together in some form. Though nothing was ever signed, according to multiple reports. What a shame. That session came on the heels of an Arizona Board of Regents meeting held Thursday, before which Arizona was in deep discussion about following Colorado to the Big 12, sources told many media outlets. I remember a couple of years ago, there was talk about the Pac-12 adding Texas and Oklahoma, and they balked on it to get into the Texas market. Well, they decided to go to the South, and that's what they've done. It's amazing how that happened. It's a shame. Pac-12 members this week reportedly includes tiers of incentives with a significant upside for teams of certain levels of of subscription numbers are met. Pac-12 financial projections emerging from the meeting are believed to start around $20 million per school annually. By contrast, full-share Big Ten schools will receive around $60 million from CBS, Fox, and NBC, while Big 12 schools are set to nearly obtain about $32 million annually through their new media deals and their rights on ESPN and Fox. This is also why reparations is important. Because if people have, for descendants of chattel slavery, black Americans, with more revenue, it will infuse the economy. It can buy more advertising. It can do so many things that would have helped programs and the companies and business stay afloat. It's the right thing to do. And I was telling these programs, support reparations for descendants of chattel slavery. Support black Americans the same way you go into black neighborhoods and recruit black athletes to play sports for you. You go there to take money out of the community. How about if you go there and put money in, then people would have more spending power. Give that some praise, having more spending power. So the Big 12 also remains in pursuit of Arizona State and Utah out of the Pac-12. They're going to go. There's substantial sentiment within the Arizona and Arizona State Athletics Department that a conference server between the programs is both undesired and unlikely. They're going to keep those schools in the same conference. The Wildcats leaving, the Sun Devils behind in the Pac-12 would be extremely surprising, and that I don't think it's going to happen at all. I think they're going to go, they're going to follow each other. But that's just the way love goes. Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yorkman has long preferred to expand to 14 teams, but was willing to move to 16 teams as the league has secured pro-rata equal value shares so as long as it adds Power 5 programs to the conference. Should the Big 12 be unable to acquire Arizona, its primary target, Arizona State or Utah, the conference may turn its focus on UConn. Why would you have UConn in the Big 12? They're a basketball program. As a top Group 5 option due to a stellar basketball program, they don't need to be anywhere near the Big 12, playing Arizona State. Now, should Arizona State, and Utah all depart for the Big 12, the Pac-12 would be on its last legs with California, Stanford, Oregon State, and Washington State, and that appears to be the case as I'm doing the show now. Now, only remaining members at that point, a merger of sorts with the Mountain West for 2 or perhaps all 4 programs and or potential independence would be likely the only remaining options. I'm thinking now that those programs have left, it just makes sense for the Pac-12 going to a 2-year focus where, and it's just my opinion, you already have Cal, Berkeley, and Stanford that are going to stay. You have Washington State and Oregon State. Oregon State just happened to blow out Florida last year in a bowl game. But now if you want to add some schools from the Mountain West, you got Fresno State, you have Nevada, Reno, you have San Jose State, you have UNLV, you have San Diego State. That could add 5 prominent programs, maybe form the Pac-9. You could even add Boise State. That would be 10. So it could stay the Pac-10, even though it wouldn't be the Pac-12. But you would have the media rights that would give schools like a Fresno State, Boise State, University of Nevada, Reno, UNLV, San Diego State. You could give those programs about $20 million a year for revenue. That would bolster up those schools and their programs too. Maybe you're not going to be part of the Power 5 anymore, but if you schedule programs that are in the Power 5, you can still get a bowl game. Plus, college football is expanding. Next year is playoff games. I mean, they just have 4 now, but it's gonna increase. So whether they decide with 12 or 24, they're gonna increase. It's either 8, 12, or 24, or however that's gonna be set in stone. But it's almost a shame because now it's just about sports and not about education. But I know people do what they want to do. Money talks, BS walks. They decided that they're gonna do it, and they came to California, and they post the Pac-12. And now it's just called the Pac-4. And that's a shame because they are the conference of champions. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Give us some praise. Congratulations to the Big 10, and congratulations to the Big 12. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to touch on one more thing when it comes to sports and how important it is that I can't even say this with a straight face, keep tradition. Tradition doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't matter. It's gone. It's out the window. And we know that. But it's gone. The conference had even kind of teased the public for 2 days that they had a big media rights deal. It didn't work out. They should have done this a couple of years ago. When Oklahoma and Texas announced that they were leaving for the SEC, the Pac-12 should have gotten on their horse and figured out how to get more aggressive. They should have. So the rest of the Four Corner schools are heading to the Big 12. Arizona State, and Utah will join the Big 12 in the next 24 hours. Sources told CBS. And the Big 12 presidents unanimously voted to welcome Arizona into the league on Thursday and did the same in a Friday night meeting for Arizona State and Utah. The Wildcats became the heart leaned toward the Big 12 on Thursday after days of conversation about whether to leave the conference they have known as home since 1978. The Arizona State Sun Devils and the Utah Utes, they progressed in the same manner today. Arizona State joined the Pac-12 in 1978, while Utah is the Pac-12's youngest program, and now they're going to the Big 12. Now, the Pac-12 held a Friday call as a last-ditch effort to keep the league together. Ultimately, it failed. They should have done this 5 years ago, and they knew it. There's no reason for them not to have done it. But they just dragged their feet. So the Arizona Board of Regents, which oversees both Arizona and Arizona State, they met Thursday night, but did not take a formal action at that time for the Wildcats. Now it's up to the board to formally approve the departure of both programs from the Pac-12. The Utah Board of Regents similarly must approve its venture into the Big 12. So it's going to happen. It'll be all wrapped up between now and next week. Despite Arizona thinking about staying, the Big 12, Arizona State, Arizona makes sense geographically, but it doesn't make sense traditionally. They're leaving. A conference has been there, the Conference of Champions. And there was substantial sentiment within both athletic departments that a conference with server was both undesired and unlikely. But they left. The Wildcats leaving the Sun Devils behind in the Pac-12 would have been extremely surprising. One high-ranking source to another, it's a sad day for college sports, because what are we in it for now? To get an education or to just get the biggest contract? People say, oh, it's not about the contract, Curry. It's always about the money. Money is contracts. Name, image, and likeness, NIL, when the college athletes were talking about getting more money for name, image, and likeness, some people scoffed at the idea that you're going to help athletes get paid for their name, image, and likeness. And now these conference presidents, what do? They decided to get paid more money. Not to stick together and keep the Pac-12 afloat. It appears the Big 12 will now be moving to 16 members. After Commissioner Brett Yorkman, he actually previously stated that he hoped to expand back to 14 members. But following the departures of Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC, it will balloon its largest membership in conference history. Think about what it's doing now. The Pac-12 now hangs in the balance with Cal Berkeley, Stanford, Washington State, and Oregon State. Doesn't make sense. It's a sad day on the West Coast. I know people say money talks and BS walks, and they're leaving. Now, when I think about Commissioner George Pavlikov delivering an underwhelming media rights presentation to university administrators from the league earlier this week, those centered around a streaming contract to stream with Apple that would have reportedly paid members around $20 million annually. And the Apple-focused media rights package includes tiers of incentivization in which significant upside for teams of certain subscription numbers were met. Why not take Big C Sports and create the Pac-12 network on Big C Sports? All it takes is having the right people with the right decision to make it happen. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. The Big 12, which has long been focused on expanding with at least two teams, if not all four, of Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah, is paying its members nearly $32 million a year through its new media rights agreement with ESPN and Fox Sports. Why couldn't the Pac-12 get that same or better agreement? Doesn't make any sense. The Pac-12 lost Oregon and Washington to the Big Ten, and once Arizona State, and Utah depart, the league would be down to just 4 members: Cal, Stanford, Oregon State, and Washington State. And where conference realignment goes from there is anybody's guess. But I'm saying most likely you'll see Boise State, Nevada, Reno. You'll see perhaps, I know you're going to get the Las Vegas UNLV Running Rebels to be a part of it, San Diego State, Fresno State, and San Jose State perhaps. But they're making a change. So annual payouts in the Big Ten are even more lucrative at $60 million per school annually. That's why they left. That's why they left. And that agreement's with CBS, Fox Sports, and NBC. Oregon and Washington will only receive 50% of the annual share of $30 million, with yearly $1 million escalators after changing conferences, according to reports. But it's a sad day. They decided to leave, and once they left, we know when they're not coming back. So for all the fans and TV people that say, oh, it's about the education, not about their education. How are you going to get education when you sign up to play football all across the country? Your fans can't go to all of those games, especially college kids. Gas is nearly $5 a gallon in California. So kids that would even drive from Washington State to Washington to see them play, or Oregon to Oregon State, USC, UCLA's across town, Arizona State, Cal, Stanford, they're just right across the bay from each other. But it's a shame. And I don't like it. But there's nothing I can do about it. They decided they were going to leave, and that's what they did. So give leaving some praise if that makes sense to you. But it's still a sad day in the world of sports, at least when it comes to my thinking. And I don't know what else to do about it. But it's just the way love goes. It's amazing. Yet so many people are affected by it. All fair and level war. I want to take you a little bit to the San Francisco 49ers training camp. And I got them winning the Super Bowl this year and winning the NFC West again. But 49ers training camp, Mitchell is out, but Kinlaw is flourishing, and Shanahan is done worrying about Brock Purdy. As of today, the 49ers are making some progress, and at the same time, everybody's trying to make progress. I'll talk more about them as I get into the NFL football coming up next week. I do feel that so many people have a thought that college football is for sale, and it is. These programs primarily exist because of inner city kids. And just when people fight reparations, they say, oh, that's not enough to do reparations, or not enough time, or I really don't understand what reparations is all about. They understand that more money will be made by these schools that left by joining the Big Ten because the media rights deal. If you can put that same type of experience and lawyers together to get a better media rights deal, why not focus on reparations? Reparations now, reparations forever. No one can say with a straight face that we don't deserve reparations. A lot of these schools, whether it's Oregon, University of Washington, Arizona State, USC, UCLA, they recruit the black athlete ad nauseum to get them to come to their programs. And now that the conference is going to make more money, people say, what about name, image, and likeness? That's only for players that are good enough to sell their name, image, and likeness. But these conferences are making more money. And they don't even talk about reparations, the way Big C Sports says. But believe me, by the end of this year, they will be saying, reparations now, reparations forever. How dare you say you're getting $32 million per school and you refuse to talk about reparations for descendants of chattel slavery, which is about 70% of all your football teams. It just needs to get done. I know I talk about it all the time, but there's a lot of people that they just don't talk about it. They're afraid for whatever reason. So I want to use some of my time that's left today ranking the top 5 teams in a realistic college football playoff path. It's just a projection. It doesn't mean it's going to happen this way. It's a shame, though. I don't like what just happened. It's not a good feeling at all. But I'm going to get into some projections about who I think could be in the college football playoffs. And just my opinion, and everybody has an opinion. That's why it's called an opinion. We all have them. But I want to pick a team that I think could make a big splash for the college football playoffs this year before it changes. And people may not agree with me, but I'm going to start at number 4, University of Georgia. People say, Georgia, number 4? You crazy, man. It's hard. No one's ever won 3 NCAA championships in a row. USC got close to doing it when they lost to Texas. Alabama's tried. They didn't get it done. It hasn't been 3 in a row. University of Miami back in the day. Not going to happen either with Georgia. I know a lot of people have them pick to win. They do have a must-win game November 18th at Tennessee. And they also go to Auburn on September 30. But this is a good team. University of Georgia, will they repeat as national champions? I don't think so. There's a scary part outside of the 44-year-old quarterback. Last year's team was young. The 2 deep is special talented. There's more talent waiting in the wings. And the schedule, while not nearly as easy as everyone makes it out to be, it's not as easy, it's not as difficult as it could be. But Georgia will make the college football playoffs because it's still Georgia and Alabama. Maybe LSU would make some noise this year. But looking at the past results, things haven't changed much. The recruiting classes are still pretty solid. So I got Georgia coming in at number 4 for the college football playoffs. I got number 3 coming in for college football playoffs. I got the Ohio State Buckeyes. They have a must-win game at Michigan November 25th. And then they have a game at Notre Dame earlier in the year, September 23rd. Bottom line, Georgia is a team that has as much talent as Ohio State. But Ohio State's, the quarterback situation is going to be fine. It always is. The skilled players are amazing. And the defense is loaded with NFL starters once again. That's always the case for Ohio State. So I have them as, that's my opinion, the third ranked team that would get into college football playoffs. And that might be different from many of the other people out there who do the same thing that I do. I got the second ranked team, at least for now, barring injury, the Michigan Wolverines. They got a game at Maryland November 18 that they got to win. It's all fair and level where they got to do it. They must win the Ohio State game November 25th. And they also got a game at Minnesota October 7th. Talent-wise, the Michigan Wolverines might be even better than they were the last 2 seasons that got them to the college football playoffs. But there's some rough games along the way as well. But Jim Harbaugh, obviously at the helm, it's time for him to knock a little bit harder on that door. Michigan football is amazing. Always has been amazing. And I think they're going to be fine, that maize and blue, with the Michigan Wolverines. Now, the program that I have as number 1 in the country, I have the USC Trojans. They have the returning Heisman Trophy winner in Caleb Williams. USC has a must-win game against Utah. That's at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. They gotta not have an upset at Arizona State September 23rd. And then they play at Notre Dame October 14th. But USC is a better football program than Notre Dame. We saw that last year. Bottom line, they have Lincoln Riley, who's coached some good quarterbacks to the NFL. Kyler Murray, one of them. Jalen Hurts, the other. He's also had Baker Mayfield. He's had some good players. And then, I think he has the best one so far. Caleb Williams. The talent-wise, there's no one on the schedule as good as USC. They're learning to schedule like the SEC teams, like an Alabama or like a Georgia. There might be a whole lot of good teams, but the Trojans play their A game. They'll be just fine, unlike how they played and laid an egg against Tulane last year in a bowl game down in Texas. They'll be fine this year with they got a lot to prove their final season in the Pac-12. I think the schedule gets a little bit quirky with 5 of the last 9 games on the road, and the body blows could add up, but I think USC has the quarterback that can make it happen, and if they can improve their defense over the one that played like Swiss cheese last year in the last 4 games, they'll be fine. Their offense is very explosive. It's hard to stop them no matter who you are. And USC, if they go unbeaten, and I think they will, I don't think they'll drop a game, then they're going to end up the number 1 seed in college football playoffs. People say, number 1 team in college football playoffs? What are you talking about, Curry? I do believe they have everything going for them. They got the best college football quarterback, my opinion. In my opinion, is just as good as anyone else's opinion. But Caleb Williams will most likely win back-to-back Heisman trophies. I believe that. And they have a road game at Notre Dame. They can easily beat Notre Dame. They did it last year. And then they have a game against Oregon. But as long as they win all the home dates, that includes a game against Washington, a team that they can beat, and Utah. If they don't get robbed, they'll beat Utah. That game is going to be at the Coliseum, a revenge game. And then UCLA, their crosstown rival. The last time there'll be a rival from whether the Pac-8, the Pac-10, or the Pac-12. Now they're going to be part of the Big Ten, which has 18 programs. And then they get to play in the Pac-12 championship that is at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. You want to roll the dice? Roll the dice. So the championship game is right in front of them. They have a good inside track. They know last year they got robbed at Utah. Officials later admitted that. And whatever happened in the bowl game doesn't make any sense. To Tulane, that doesn't make any sense at all. But things can happen where you can get upset along the way. But it's not going to happen this year. I think they'll go undefeated. And the college footballs are right there in the front window for them. With the fact that they also are leaving the conference, I don't know how the boosters at USC feel about it. But do they really want to take a road trip to College Station and play Penn State? Do they want to take a road trip to Rutgers, New Jersey, and play Rutgers? Are they really excited about taking a road trip to Minnesota? How about Purdue? How about Indiana? Is Southern Cal really excited about getting on airplanes and going back to play Iowa? Or Northwestern? I think the excitement comes from playing Ohio State in Michigan when they get into it next year. But I don't think the brass at USC, outside of the money, getting more money, when you got to get on an airplane to go see your games, as opposed to taking a bus to Arizona State, it's got to be harder for the fans. But that's what they decided to do, and there's nothing I can do about it. Because that's the way college sports are now. It's not like the NFL, but they're trying to make it where more money determines where people sign. So tonight, what I say, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Tonight, reparations now, reparations forever. I think I had a dream that Big C Sports won $1.3 billion, and now I can afford a full tank of gas. Gilbert Hills, California, all fair and love war. Anthony Davis got a $186 million extension with the Los Angeles Lakers. And if you watch him play against the Joker last year, why would he get more money than the Joker? But he did. That's the way it goes. I told you when Jaylen Brown signed that extension for the Boston Celtics, $304 million, that someone was going to leapfrog him because he talked about bringing the Black Wall Street to Boston. They don't want that to be the narrative, but it will be the narrative with Big C Sports. Get that some praise. Black Wall Street, when they ask Anthony Davis, what's he going to do with all that money? He's going to say, I'm going to bring the Black Wall Street to Los Angeles. A 3-year, $186 million extension with the Lakers. And he doesn't even play all their games. Now, it's not more money overall than Brown, but it is $62 million a year for a guy that plays about 70% of their games every single year. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Congratulations. If the check doesn't bounce, you're all good. He's going to make a lot of money. So he's got his reparations already, and give him some praise for getting his reparations. Well, as I always say, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink, because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. Call Uber, call Lyft, call a cab. You can sleep it off, you can walk it off. The life you save may be your own. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali would say, I'm so quick on my feet because I eat all these Big C burgers. They make me light on my feet. That's why I float like a butterfly and I sting like a bee. And I rumble, young men, rumble. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. That no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. If you know anybody going through that garbage, pick up the phone and call 911. Because things change when the police show up. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, on every Big C Sports Show, I thank you. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. As I say, honor President Abraham Lincoln, reparations now, reparations forever. In honor of President Abraham Lincoln, we sang reparations now, reparations forever. Say it one more time like a team won the game. In honor of President Abraham Lincoln, reparations now, reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.